Good morning, dear viewers. Today morning, I find myself in the home of a humble yet courageous woman, Judith Obina. Her contribution towards ending the Lord Resistance Army insurgency that ravaged the region of northern Uganda from the year 1986 to the early 2000s, however minute it may have been, contributed to the peace the region enjoys today. I have a one-on-one with her as she tells me her story. Madam Judith Obina, thank you for having me in your home today. I'm so happy that you managed to allow my invite to come to this interview and share with us something. So to my viewers who are out there eagerly waiting to hear from you, how best would you describe yourself and who are you as a person?
First of all, my name full is Judith Obina. I think I'm a peace-loving person, and I'm a person who values unity. I love people, and I'm a person who shows a lot of compassion to people that I meet. I started working with the President of the Republic of Uganda as his Assistant Private Secretary in charge of youth, which position I started in August 2001. In 2006, I moved to the level of Private Secretary in charge of political affairs, where I am till today. So for 25 years, I've been the Secretary of the President.
That's amazing, that's amazing. Yeah. So I understand that you have a brief background with the LRA insurgency.
Yes.
I read your book, 14 Days with Konyi, and I'm so privileged to be a ministry right now today. So I wanted to know from you, from your point of view, give us a brief background about the Lord Resistance Army War. What was the cause of the war, and when did it start? Briefly for you.
The war started in 1988. The reason for the war to start, the Acholi people, from whom the current president took power, felt that they were pushed in the war as a result of the peace talks in Nairobi before the President Museveni came to power, which was in 1985. Because there was a background to the peace talks in Nairobi, which was not, it didn't augur well with the Acholi people. So I think that is the background of why the war started. I think the Acholi people felt that they should have been the ones in power. But since the current president was already there, and as a result of the other peace talk done in 1985, it never worked out. So I think that was the basis for this war that started in the Acholi region.
Yes. So as far as I know, very many people played a part in ending the war.
Yeah.
The UPDF, I think Wakana Rubunda.
The president himself.
No, but now the president, as you say.
Yeah.
Archbishop Odama, I have his book signed by him. I met him the other day.
Very interesting.
So apart from those known big figures that we know, I went in to understand that there are also other people who helped end this war in the various aspects that they did. That's how I landed on your book. Okay. So I want to know, you as the President's Secretary on Political Affairs at the time, what role did you do and which assignment were you given from His Excellency?
Okay, first of all, my assignment was a simple one, but it was a candid one. My assignment was to take care of the family of God from the President's perspective, his office. So I had to take care of the mother of Kon. I had to take care of the children, some of the children of Kon. I had to take care of the sister, the brother, and generally Kon's family at the time as a secretary of the president. It was the mantle that was given to me to undertake. Yeah.
So did you finally find out the reason why you were given such an assignment?
Okay, first and foremost, it takes courage to handle such a family. And if you find a person like I said, in my personality, who doesn't have the courage and who doesn't have the compassion, given the fact that there were many atrocities that Kony did, including to my own family. My mother's sisters were killed. Some of this I don't bring up in the story because there are many things that happened. It would be difficult for me to handle if I never had that courage and strength as a private secretary to the president. And it would not be easy for even the president to choose another person, because I was the person who was an attorney in the midst of all of this, in his group of secretaries, and I knew the language that I could use to bring rapport between me and the family of Kony.
I understand you finally found the mother of Kony.
Yes.
So I want to understand that experience. Where did you find her? How were you able to convince her to come with you? Because it's not easy to deal with old people, I know.
Yeah, now I was given some contact because I always interact with people. So somebody came and gave me an idea of this old woman who was picking tea in Mubende, and told me that was Kony's mom. I got the interest of going to find out really whether this information was right or not. I took a trip to Mubende one morning, and I found this lady. She was carrying a basket of the tea, hanging over her head, and the basket was on her back. And she was in the tea garden trying to pick tea, I think for survival. So I greeted her in the Acholi language, and we started a conversation. She later on invited me in her small room, and I introduced myself to her. I appreciated having met her. Then she allowed that I should take photos with her. I took some photos, and I told her that I'm from the president, that I want to go and tell the president that I met her. And she was okay. So I came back and I gave my report. I said I found this lady. She's here with me. And that is how all the interaction began.
I understand that you moved her family and kept on giving her the care she needed, the needs, food, where to sleep, everything you are doing for her. So was this a move by government to bring her closer to the government, to plan her move to Garamba with you people later?
Actually, initially, we didn't even know that this Garamba thing would happen. You know, as you know very well, the president is a caring person. He has taken care of most of the families of past leaders, the Amin family, the Bote family. He's still taking care of them, most of them right now. He has employed children of former presidents. He's still working with them up to today. So, in the same vein, Kony's family is one family that he should care about. So, when I give this information that the lady is in Mubende, it was the president's decision to begin doing everything for the family of Kony, to start taking care of them, to start looking after them, and to start putting for them a home where they can be and be taken care of. So it was an assignment that was mostly by government, but I was a vessel to do this because as private secretary, it was my job to handle it.
Okay, so I understand that you and her finally went to Garamba.
Yes, we did.
So I want to know your preparation for that journey. Not only preparing Anek, I understand her name is Anek something.
No.
Anek Nora, Madam Anek Nora. But also you as a person, like preparing for this journey. You know you're going to meet a rebel who has killed very many people. Like, how was the preparation for your family? Any memories that you have that you can tell us today?
First of all, it wasn't very easy because when I was assigned to handle this family, I also had emotional issues.
I understand you are about 20 something.
Yeah, I was a youth at the time. Because I started this assignment when I was in the youth department as a young person. I also had my own misgivings And in my heart, sometimes I feel pain because I've lost people as a result of the Pony War. And now this same person who has suffered the loss of her people is the same person who should go and take care of this family with a good heart, without...
It takes a lot of resilience.
Yes, it takes a lot of faith for you to do this. But I didn't see it that way. I saw it in the eye of doing a noble act for the people of Acholi, for the suffering of the people of Acholi. Given the fact that I am the blood of the Acholi people, I thought that this would be an opportunity for us to find a niche where we could bring maybe understanding to this family, and in turn we could actually use it as a buffer for peace. That is what was in my head, and in fact that is the reason why I was happy to do this assignment, because I thought maybe my involvement... I'm a very good negotiator, by the way. I am a very, very good negotiator. It's difficult to beat me if I decide to negotiate. So this message I carried, even it was something that came out of me. Not as if they gave me a plan of action that you should do this, do that, but by the trust given to me by the president, it pushed me to looking for something, a solution that maybe at the time nobody could actually provide, because I was the buffer there, standing in for government.
I want you to describe for me your journey from Entebbe to reaching Garamba, like people that you traveled with. I don't know the delegation that you went with.
Yeah.
Then I read about your experience at the second great trek you wrote in your book. I would also want a hint on that. Then also, if you could tell me like the 14 days that you spent in the camp with Connie. Yes, so basically that I want to know your journey to Garamba. How was it? Which people were in the helicopter with you?
Now, the journey to Garamba, Judith wasn't alone. The current Chief Justice was with us. Alphonse, he was with us because he was supposed to go and explain the ICC to Connie. At the time, he was not the Chief Justice. Then we had the late Walter Ochora, the former RDC of Gulu. May his soul rest in peace. He was a man of peace, and he was a man he was a senior Acholi person who we respect him in our region, and he was very pro-government. He was there. Then we traveled with a doctor, with the president, to support us. He was called Dr. Ben. Then we had the reporter, who was a journalist, Lachambel. Lachambel is still alive. He's still in Gulu.
I met him in Gulu.
Yes. So Lachambel was with us. He was covering the story on behalf of the Ugandan delegation. Then we had Connie's son called Moses. Now I think he's a lawyer. The president educated him.
That's good.
And I think he's in Blue. The other day we had a conversation on phone. So I'm supposed to go and interact with him and his brother Ali. Then we had Connie's sister called Beatrice, Connie's brother called Robert. Actually, Robert remained in the bush with Connie. He did come back with us. So we had other two people who were sent with us to government, who were taking care of Connie's mother, and myself, and the uncle of Connie called the dean, Thomas. Yes, he was also with us. So
could you give me a brief description about the Great Trek? Because it's something I looked at and I studied history, so I'm familiar with the Great Trek.
So that is the second Great Trek. Yes, that second Great Trek was really hard. Because when we traveled from Uganda, we went to Juba, we came to the part of South Sudan, called Nabanga, until Rupanga. We were facilitated by the plane, some of the helicopter, the kangaroo car, Then now we reached the farm back. There was no means except the foot. So we now had to walk for many kilometers to reach the camp. And because it was a long, that's why I call it the second great trek, because really, the first great trek, no, it's in history. But now for me, this one was the second great trek. Yes, as a person, given my experience in this Congo, because it was a long journey by the foot. So that's why I call it the second great trek.
Interesting. So I understand on the first day that you reached the first camp, you saw Kony.
Yeah.
So I want to know from your experience, what did that arouse in you? Which feelings? Like, were you scared? Were you frightened? Anything that you can share with us?
Yeah, of course, it was the feeling of fear. Yeah, because you see now, this man, according to the things that he's been was doing, man, it was not a very simple day. Actually,
a rebel leader.
Actually, seeing that very most notorious rebel leader in the world being spoken about every day by people, everyone is fearing him. You don't even know whether your mouth is going to be on your head again. You don't even know whether your nose is still going to be there. So it wasn't a very easy, it was tough. I was gripped by fear. In fact, I had to hide behind the mother because I said, if I'm going to die, I will die after the mother. So I hid behind the mother. Then I was watching Kony from the side band of the mom. Sometimes it's very interesting to remember this kind of thing because I didn't know that somebody could fear for their life. That day I repented. I knelt down. I couldn't kneel, but I said, God, this is the situation now. I don't have much more to do, but to give my life to you. Like Jesus said, I cast my spirit to you. It was the time, like that time for me.
So I also understand that you saw other people. For example, the late Otis Vincent.
Yeah.
You saw the late Achelam.
Yes.
Then also Odiambo. So I want to know, because you described in your book that much as very many people fear Kony, there is a man called Odiambo who came and he looked so fierce and you were actually more frightened to see Odiambo than Kony. Could you explain why?
Actually, remembering the way Kony interacted, I thought maybe he could be a more easier man. Because when he saw the mother, at least there was some tear in his eyes, meaning that there is remorse. But the other, Vincent Oti was very good. Vincent Oti was a diplomatic man. He was a man of diplomacy. He could talk, he could share. But Odiambo was a more inward man. He looked tougher in the whole thing. And when he met us, it wasn't a very easy conversation. Because he was not the most outward person. You could tell that he has the more anger than others. And for the history that we had, he was a more yes, he was more rougher than all of them. So when they say Odiambo is coming, you could even see them the way the
rebels would react.
Yes, they would react, and you'd know that now this one is the notorious one now coming, and you would even ask me, we are getting scared.
So explain to me this meeting of a young boy that you wrote in your book, a young boy that resembles your father.
Actually, that young boy, he disappeared from the village, and he's the son of my uncle, called Otonya. They looked for the boy in the whole home there, he disappeared. When I reached there, I see this child who looks like my father. But he was actually the ADC of God. So I asked him, they were calling him a watch. A watch. And I was like, but why are they calling him a watch? Because my grandfather comes from Willow. He's called Alipayo. So when they said a watch, I said, but why are they calling him a watch? Then I asked, I said, but why is he called a watch? Then they said, no, he is from a watch, and his grandfather is Alipayo in Willow. I said, but this is my brother. This boy disappeared at home, and we were looking for him everywhere. So we didn't know that the boy was here. So I discovered that that was my relative in the insurgency. And it made me know, yes, it made me know that not everybody who is involved in this rebellion was taken at will. Some people were taken by forcefully, and some people were taken as children. So I talked to this boy, we interacted. I told him, I'm your sister, and you should know. And we looked for you at home.
I understand you have left for him your jacket.
I left for him everything. I carried my blankets, I left my jackets, everything. I just said, you have this. So that is the only way I could help him.
Even as we know these LR Arabs to be brutal and savagery, I understand that you had an experience with them. You people would laugh, even in campfires. You shared food and what. Was that to build trust, or were they just genuinely outgoing people?
Okay, first of all, as a government delegation, we had gone with the interest of building confidence. And we also wanted to show that Uganda government is actually true to their word. They wanted the peace to be accomplished. So the only show of that we wished could only be seen in our actions. So we could not reach and start eating our dry ration while they cook their food and they eat of their own. So we decided that we will have the heart of interaction. And that is why we could keep with them. These are people who understood us. We speak the same language. And we could talk about issues. So the campfires were one such avenue for us to be able to sit together and open up to each other. Because sometimes very serious meetings do not yield results. But if, as a negotiator and a diplomatic person, you bring yourself down to the level of a very simple interaction, that in the end can create confidence and trust. So that is why we went to that level of not making it so official, of just having them as simple as they were and as simple as we were, so that we can be able to achieve the conversation that we needed to bring something on the table.
During all these days that you were in the forest, you had meetings with Connie about the peace, ending the war. So on the last day, I read in your book that Madame Anek, Connie's mom,
Nora Anek, Connie's mom,
talked to Connie.
Yes.
And these particular words, I don't know if you recall them very well. Doctor, you shall give us a detail on that. So I want you to give me an explanation on the process of how you handled the situation, of like convincing her, mentoring her to be able at that point to stand up and speak to her son. So like, what was it for you?
Okay, that very activity did not start on the day we were in the camp. It started many years prior to going to the camp, because I had to interact with this lady, Connie's mom, Nora Nek. And in her mind, I was already putting that idea of going to speak peace to the son. So it didn't just start as an activity when we were already in Kuramba. It started years before. Like I spent like 3 years trying to train to bring her up to the speed for us to deliver in Garamba. So in Garamba, she only reiterated what we had already discussed while we were still in Uganda, to be able to bring the message of peace to her son. Yeah.
So like, do you remember that message that at the point in time when she stood up, do you remember the exact words she said?
Okay, we didn't even stand, we were sitting all of us in Connie's home. It's not a home like this one we're in.
It's a camp.
It was under a tree. Yeah, because that was a home, I mean, to them. That is when she brought it out. She stopped her son from fighting. She acknowledged President Museveni's help to her family. And she represented Museveni as a person who cares for her and for her family. And she said there was no reason for Cohen to continue fighting the president because President Museveni was not a bad person. President Museveni had buried the father of Cohen by that time. And President Museveni was already taking care of the needs of the family of Cohen. So Nora Nek reiterated telling the son to stop fighting. Let him stop fighting the government of the President of the Republic of Uganda because he's a person who does not have a bad heart. So she reiterated that one.
So how did Connie take this message?
After she talked, I also spoke. I also said, you know, we're suffering people as a result of this war. The Acholi people are dying. The Acholi people are not okay. Me as his sister, I implore him to stop the war since we have been able to carry the mother and get the mother to him. So Cohen reiterated, he replied, he said, Judith, President Museveni has sent you to bring my mother to me, to stop me fighting, to tell me to stop fighting. From today onwards, I will never shoot a gun towards Uganda. And that was in December of 2007. It was, I think, towards Christmas time. And we waited for him to continue, but we didn't see anything until today. Yeah, even if it wasn't only our message, because the government also did a lot. UPDF did a lot. The religious leaders were part of it. They struggled. Even the Acholi people, they gave their all to make this war come to the end. Why? Because for them, having suffered in the camps for all those years because of this insurgency, and the way the northern Uganda was not the place to be in the time, all that brought a lot of, all the people of Acholi, all of them were involved in this peace that we now see in northern Uganda, because they accepted every intervention to be done so the war can come back, and they didn't join Cohen to continue fighting as a tribe. So we also want to salute the people of Acholi Sub-region. We want to thank the President of the Republic of Uganda for being a stout and very far-sighted person with vision to envisage the peace that we now have in northern Uganda.
The efforts of these different people, the APDF, Wakana Uganda, Nabat Mao, Owini Alphonse Bello, all the people that played a role in ending the war, I'm sure it's all limited to the peace we enjoy today in northern Uganda. But behind the scenes, behind the curtains, there are individuals like you,
Nora Nek,
Nora Nek, yes, that played a good role to bring the peace that the region enjoys today. So I want to know, like, is there anything in the pipeline to, like, maybe acknowledge you people, Heroes Day celebrations? I see them awarding different people, but I don't think you people have gotten the kind of gratitude that you deserve to get for putting your lives on the line to go and do something of this magnitude that contributed to the peace that we enjoy today in northern Uganda. So among your colleagues, you talked about Dr. Ben, Lachambel, the two people that escorted Madame Nek, the late Paul Tochola. All you people played a good role to end the war. So do you think there should be anything in the pipeline? And what recommendations do you have?
First of all, it takes me back to my book. The title of my book clearly is 14 Days with Coin, The Hidden Heroes. The Hidden Heroes. That explains to you that there were so many people who got involved in bringing this peace back to northern Uganda. But in one way or another, their contributions probably were not recognized. No, they were not recognized. For example, this team, our team that went, of course we never have received any medal. But for me, in my perspective, a medal is no medal until the people achieve peace. So, as Judith Obina, I have got a very big medal. And I believe everybody who made a sacrifice for this war to end, each one of us has got very big medals. My medal is the peace that people are now enjoying in northern Uganda. It doesn't have to be a piece of metal. When you see people happy, when you see people back to their homes, when you see people no longer living in camps in northern Uganda, in Acholi, in areas where Konya affected people's lives, for me, that is my medal. I'm not looking for gratification or being seen as the person who did this, because that was an act of the Holy Spirit, an act of God. It is only God who acts in that way, to make small people do big things. So for me, I already have my medal. My medal is the peace of the people of northern Uganda, that now they can live, enjoy, have a good life, bring up children in a good environment which does not have war anymore. For me, that is my medal.
So thank you very much, Madam Obina. So as we conclude, if someone wanted to get hold of this book, where could they get it from?
This book is in all major bookstores. If you go to Aristoc, Uganda Bookshop, ask around, anywhere, you will get 14 Days with Konya, The Hidden Heroes, and you will read a true life story of Judith, Obina, who went to Baramba on foot, saw coin, and came back and gave you this story. It is something unusual, and I encourage all of you out there to grab this piece and read. It's also on Amazon. You can pick it online, and you can buy it on Amazon, and you can read the story. Thank you.